Recording.
All right, here we are on another Saturday night Zoom Live, and we have our special guest here, Petra. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, I think that's great. Petra, we say in Dutch.
Petra?
Petra.
Petra. Okay.
Yeah, but it's just the female version of Peter, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not very uncommon here, so.
Awesome. So
Great to see you, Gino.
You went for the 108 days, which a few of us have gone. Many more than I ever thought would be crazy enough to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, what number are you? Number 79 or 80 or
79,
something?
you said, yes.
So maybe you want to share a little bit of your background, where you're from, how you came to find Master Fast, and so on and so forth. So we get to know you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm Petra. And my parents called me Petra Else, and that's my second first name. And I have a quite uncommon last name, Jekel. I was born in the city of Arnhem in the Netherlands in 1980. That makes me 37 years old at this moment. And I live in the city of Arnhem in the Netherlands right now. And one of my big migration stories is that I went to the north of the country to study. And I studied there for 10 years, and then I moved back to the city I was born and raised in.
What did you study?
I say a big migration stories, but it's of course a very tiny migration story if you look at it from distance. But for me it was a great story, an enormous story. I studied art history and a history of architecture. That was the full name of my university study that I did, and it took me 7.5 years to wrestle myself through that. And in that time I also became known as a poet. So I'm still a professional writer, and at this moment I'm also a coach and a public speaker, and everything revolves around the subject of creativity, what I do. So that topic has always stayed with me, because art is also creativity, of course, but creativity is so much more. Creativity is flow, it's energy, it's healing, it's the soul, in fact. So, yeah.
Awesome.
That's a bit about me, maybe in a grand scopy line. So, my cat just arrived. She also wants to sit next to me, and it's great. I don't know if she wants to come in the video. You never know if she climbs on me.
Oh, that's
and I see, it's funny. We have when I talk, I'm on site, isn't it? Well, so I have that was by accident, but I thought that's maybe nice. I have a Druid living here in my house, and it's over there. It's an energy being from the forest, and it lives in that piece of wood. But I didn't know we were going to see it. But I was sitting down in a place where I thought this is a nice place to sit down, and I hope we have enough light, because it's after 1 a.m. In the middle of the night here now. I hope we have enough light. And I sat down and tuned in, and I saw that my Druid is inside as well. So, but maybe my cat's going to be inside as well. She's walking around here now.
Is that like a magic wand?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. How do you say that? I know, maybe it's made by someone that is part of a Druid family, or like a wand maker family, or however you want to call it. It has names, but I can't. I even can't really recollect that correctly at this point, and I wouldn't know how to translate. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's a magic wand. So yeah, and it's called living wood. Maybe that's the word, living wood or live wood. And so the spirit is still with the wood. And I think it's hazel. Is it called hazel? I hope so.
Hazelnut tree?
No, hazel. It's not. I think the hazel is not hazelnut. I don't know. Anyway, it's a very traditional piece, and it's a very traditional tree to make a wand. Do you know anything about wands, Gino?
No, just a little bit of reading here and there in the past, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
I've heard the term Druid before.
yeah, and I'm not really per se in the terminology of Druids or I mean, it's maybe you could say it's a traditional British based shaman kind of person.
Right.
But then you have to explain the term shaman. So, I mean, we just go on and on. But it's, of course, as someone that is born into a family that is the healer of multi-generational conflict and deeply ingrained soul trauma that destroys the soulmate DNA in a certain way that is patterned for certain family lines. And the Druid can resolve that for themselves and for other people and many more other things. The Druid can change the weather.
Yeah, Peter says it might be of Hawthorne. Wood, wand?
Hawthorne. Yeah, maybe that's the word. Who knows? Then I would have to now type in the word Hawthorne in Google to see what that means in Dutch. But
okay. Anyway, it's nice. Okay, we have your wand there sitting there. We have some magic behind you and magic in front of us.
Yeah. Well, but when I say that, I think maybe we touched on something very important. Maybe it's just nice to say that just directly. And now I'm looking at, no, it's a Hawthorne at the same time, Meidoorn. I don't know. No, I don't think that's it. Well,
okay.
Anyway, but I thought maybe I'm just saying, by saying this, the most important thing already in the first minutes. I had no idea that I was going to, because when I talk about that Druid and how I characterize that person, I mean, just forget about the term Druid, but how I characterize that person, now I realize that is me. So I'm talking about myself, I guess, and I am the person that is taking responsibility for 7 generations of both my family lines where I stem from in the past and for the future, and Freedom Up. And those stories are quite known among other people as well. I mean, it's not something that is uniquely from me at all. And to resolve all these multi-generational trauma, but you only do that to then go further, it's not a hobby in itself. And then you go on, and then you can open the door to your heart's mission, to your contribution to world peace. And that's perhaps, hopefully, what I'm standing for right now as well, by means of a food reset, which was a very grand one of the resets that I already did past 9 years, because I had a 9-year period that was very significant to me. It was the 9 years in which I went back to the city I was born in until now. And that was a 9-year. And now that 9 years is over, And I did not want to go back to the city of my birth because there was only feelings of conflict and emotion. And I did not want to be here. I went away consciously. I did not want to return, but I felt I was going to return, and I resisted 1 year, and then I returned, and I had no clue what I was going to do here. There was no career for me here. There was no money. There were no friends. There were people from that I knew from the past, but that was very awkward. I had awkward relationships with my direct family, I felt. And yeah, all of that needed to be resolved. And now I just finished 108 days of no food and no water, master fast system fasting. And I'm just incredibly amazed what that all did to me. And although I was very much in an inner space kind of feeling in all kinds of different fashions, acknowledged for what I was feeling and why I was doing it and why it was so good to do, it was still amazing. And the child in me is just amazed at what happened.
And so are we.
You are amazed at what, Gino? What happened to me or in general?
Your transformation, of course. Everybody who goes through it transforms. I haven't seen anybody who didn't.
Yes. How is that for you to see people transform before your eyes?
It's awesome. That's what keeps me going. It's the only thing that keeps me going. Especially when you put yourself out there, and it's a controversy to everything else that's out there. You know, we get a lot of slack all the time. So the one story like yourself will cover 1,000 of the naysayers. Let's put it that way, easily.
Yeah, the naysayers. Yeah. I get that's also your perspective. Like that, it could be very nice in your role, so to speak. Roles are very limited things, but
yeah, it's like
in your role that it's very nice to see some sort of proof or like the reality reflected to you that what you learned was valuable for other people as well. Or
yeah, there's that, but the actual knowing is already there, because I've seen it on myself, and I've seen it on many people now. It's a feel of a duty to be in service to help others. You know, coming from erratic lifespan of many different things, and not the best things that I've went through and experienced, and so on and so forth. You know, the only thing that can fulfill purpose in this realm is to be in service to others, is what I find right now. You know, I can be happy in my chair right here, helping others. There's nothing more fulfilling than all the money in the world.
Well, that is, I think, so incredibly true, Gino. And that's what my heart calls out for as well, especially at this point where I feel physically and so also personality-wise, etc., so much cleaner and more focused and more aligned with my soul. I absolutely also feel that I want to serve the bigger purpose, or like not the bigger purpose in an illusionary way, because there's a lot of illusion there as well, but yeah, like to serve the process of others or the transformation of others. And I can actually very much understand how that keeps you going, or how that's just worth it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the thing to do, and that's what I call meconomy in my terminology as well. That's just the only thing to really do when you really look around to the people and the disasters that we see, that we as a collective do to natural resources and landscapes and to the psyche and to our emotional lives and to our society life, with and voting for crazy politicians. And I mean, it's incredible what we're doing to ourselves. And when you really, really listen to that, I feel there's just one thing to do, and that is trying to get yourself to that place where you can serve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole journey and a blessing. And then serve. Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing watching the transformations. Like miracles are happening all the time. People going through master fasts, and it's the inspiration. We inspire each other. On the page, and it's just manifesting the change we want to see by doing it ourselves and helping others do that. There's so much disharmony out there. We need to bring things back into balance. And as I've said on the page, in order for humanity to move forward, we must go into the realm of peace, balance, and correct conduct. There's no other way. It's been too, the garbage has been going on for way too long. It's overdue. And, as we were talking earlier, going vegan is great, wonderful. It's one mindset, but we got to move beyond that and look at all souls as equal, all life forms. And
yeah, absolutely.
The changes are coming quick in the last couple of years, at least, very, very quickly, and it's moving faster and faster. So I believe we'll see many, many magical things happening in the next few short years on this planet, which is nice. So,
yes, we will, but they're only to be seen by people who are open to see it, of course. So, yeah. I don't know. Do you think in terms of critical mass?
Well, there's that, but there's also the 100th monkey syndrome. It becomes part of the consciousness. Once you get a certain number,
yes, that's true. Yes, because for instance, when I look at my soul transformation, and you could say for many years I thought, but my family is not going to change, and it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. But now I feel really different about that, and it does change because of, maybe you could say, that 100th monkey syndrome. Yes, because when you somehow become truly autonomous on yourself and on your own, and then you sink even deeper than that, then you get on a soul level, and then for the first time you are in relation to everybody and everything. And it's quite easy to say, but then that's where we're the same again, blah, 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 blah. But that's a lot of times just an idea that people have, and first one says it and the other also says it, and it means nothing to them personally. But but becoming in relationship, then if you really sink into that and you go in relationship, then it cannot be any different than transforming other people too, because they feel the space that you give them by being so on you and then sinking under that in your soul, and they feel the space that you give yourself and so the other, and they will feedback themselves in that spacious nothingness mirror, and their conduct will change. I feel that, but really soulfully, bodily feel that, and that went up enormously on Master Fast. because I was really waiting for, my body was waiting for a let go on an intestinal level. You know, like 9 months ago, I felt that my intestines, my GI tract and everything in it, it just said to me like, we want to release and can you help us? And I couldn't really find what I was looking for to give that space. So there's also a relation between me and my intestines, you see. So
Okay, interesting.
yeah, so how to get in relation so much with my own intestines that I could give it space. Because when I heard myself say that I'm giving space to my intestines, then I heard suddenly the mirror of the echo of what I just said about between people. And that's true. So giving space to, how do I give space to my intestines to be able to unload their whatever it is? And I couldn't find it. And I found Masterfast system. It found me. I wasn't looking for it in February, March, and on April 4th, I jumped in.
Pretty quick.
And I lost for this time frame. For now, I feel when I talk to my intestines, enough for this moment. And that goal was sort of reached, within 3.5 months, which was awesome. And it wasn't even maybe very much motivated by food, because you were just talking about veganism is just really great, and it's also very fashionable. And I see personally many young people in their 20s on YouTube having lifestyles out of that, different lifestyles, you know, like different sub-kinds of lifestyles they make out of it. And it's just really nice to see them and to hear them. And I listen to quite a lot of them, also the last few months, but earlier as well. And I really like to see that in the younger generation. It's just really enjoyable, I have to say, to see how that sort of cascades down in other generations. I have to see that really pleases me. I worked with teenagers and children also a lot in the past 10 years or so. So that's maybe also why I like to see a bit what youth is doing, or I speak about it like this. But so veganism is not really per se the point, and it was also not for me. It was really never. I was not a, how do you say, a food lifestylist. I just made up that word. I wasn't a food lifestylist. Maybe I did not really have a lifestyle like that in any sort of way. I always followed what was for me, and while doing that, I have the tendency to get carried away. So that is a non-correctness within me, absolutely. But but not in the way of getting carried away and becoming vegan and lifestylistish, foodish, whatever kind of style, and then be hardcore in such things. So I wasn't motivated per se in that kind of realm. And I was also not per se motivated in the realm of illness and diseases and health and body aches and or daily pain, or it was very much a soul perspective that I have on all life aspects of myself that brought me to it, and the insight that perhaps the insight that food is a very, very basic tool that we have or use, but that's so to use something. that's almost manipulative word already.
Maybe
Yeah,
you want to share what was your diet basically like most of your life?
yeah, I say that I'm not a food motivated, but of course I want to talk about all of that kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you started, you made your first post and you posted your photographs and everything. Was your goal set at 108 days right from the start, or was that something that evolved?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. 108 days, if that was my goal. I think I explained in my testimonial, and that is maybe, I don't know what really the truth was. There was a double truth. I didn't want to set myself up for a possible failure or a possible disappointment of myself in the first place.
Mhm.
That's why I didn't want to say I was going to do 108, and I didn't want to say that aloud. And I also didn't really want to say that to myself that much. But I planned for it. I just planned 108 days, and I made notes in my schedule. I planned my financial life around it. I planned the rebuilding of my mission-driven business that I'm into right now around that date. I built my new events that I was going to do with people, to share with people where I was standing as a soul, and of course also in food, because it's really nice to share what you're doing at this point as well with people, to have an extra sort of topical thing. That's how I do my work sometimes. And yeah, so I completely scheduled it to do 108, yes. And since I'm also not only healing from a body level or an intestinal level and an ancestral level and a soul level, I'm also healing from a sort of a bankruptcy, or at least not having money for a long time, and having spent a lot of money on my own development, in spiritual development, business development, developing myself as a coach, as an entrepreneur, etc. So also a bit on health and body. So I'm also recovering from a financial, how do you say that? Like a financial down point that is far greater than really anybody that I hear complain so much, I have to say. In my life in general, I'm not talking about Master Fast System, although there is complaints about money quite regularly. Yeah, so also that was a funny, I think that is a nice value and money related extra sort of storyline that exists, why I had to do 108, because that was exactly how it would work out. I had calculated financially as well, because when I would have just gone off and went eating again and who knows what, or would have created new disasters by eating fasting and getting all confused, and then also creating financial not responsibilities, consequences, financial consequences as well. So that was all directed by me, in fact, on the background.
So
Very,
you were committed from the start
yeah.
for many reasons.
Yes, many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but yeah, and so I wanted to be a better coach and a better healer. I wanted to serve so much, and for 1.5 years it was all kind of clear to me, everything had become clear, where I was standing, how I would co-create with a soul partner that would be my life partner, how I would create a business that was actually a world peace mission that I would share with other people and possibly around the world, and how being a speaker and being an author would be great, and my healership would be better and better and also used and blah blah. But I couldn't do it. And then 1.5 years ago, that all became pretty clear, but I just couldn't do it. There was a time in which I could have done it. I could have now started, but I couldn't. And now I can. So there was a lot, so much to let go between then and now. And what I really needed this sort of to catapult myself forward into a sort of last phase of that letting go, and then into that new space. And that was going to be Master Fast System, or in other words, that was going to be my food reset. And that worked. It worked. My food reset worked. And I feel that is because food is such a basic thing. Food is sort of, in every field of life we have food. When we are alone and we don't have food and we don't have water, we have the food that is our breath. And when we meditate, let's say on purpose, consciously, we take some hours off in a day and we are going to meditate, then we let soul or energy, the soul energy essence, food we let into our cells. In every cell, we open every cell, and that's the food there. And when we want to be sexual, then we feed that, and we make time for being sexual with ourselves in our bedroom, and we feed it. And that's, I think, how we value what we think is important, by feeding it. So if you have plants that you really love, or like me, I added to my herbal garden on my balcony a lot while on Master Fast System, because I love being creative with all the tools that we could have, and herbs was of course one of them. So if you love your herbs and your plants, you will feed them every day with a touch of GANS induced water, or whatever you put into your plants, or you just talk to them to feed those plants. So I think what we feel is of value to us, of true value to us, we will feed that. So I have a cat, and she's now sitting next to me, and I will feed her Master Fast System from now on. Today I bought my chicken that Michelle advises us to buy for our cats. And I still have enough, I think, materials from the Master Fast System tools, like the clay and the herbs and the tea and the tinctures, that I can make exactly what she suggested, and start giving my cat Stella Maris, named after one of the appearances of Blessed Mother Mary. Also some Master Fast System for the next few weeks or so. And so I think we just feed what we feel is important. Now, that I didn't do on a food level before. So now we're back at your earlier question, maybe, Gino, like, what was I eating? Is that a good plan?
Sure.
So I've been thinking about this, especially because of our talk today. What was I eating? And maybe also because of what I wrote in my testimonial. And, I just finished 108 days only 1 week ago. And that's not a lot. And breaking such a long fast is an enormous task emotionally. And it took me the whole week. But it also gives another perspective quite fast. And I was processing again about, what did I eat and where am I going to now? the whole story again. So I thought about it again, and I came up with a new, more sunken down perspective of that I really was sort of a schizophrenic food person. And that's what I talked about for 10 years with my soul coach, by the way, that I tended to do that in all areas of life. So food is one area of life, and I did that in all areas. I was a bit schizophrenic in the sense of I did this, but then I did that. And I wanted this, but I did that. And I just knew that this was it, but it seems that I was doing that at the same time. And I was sort of dividing things in life, you know. I was like, yeah, I feel the soul. I'm a soul person. It's all clear to me. And now I'm going out and partying and drinking myself full of wine and smoking a lot of cigarettes and get home at 4 o'clock at night and thinking I was doing a good job. So there was just a whole bunch of unconsciousness that wanted to be conscious through me. And that's also how we learn and how we take in, of course, the value that is truly meant for us that we later on can pass on to others. So in that way, I just don't regret anything. But in food, I was schizophrenic like in other areas. So I saw now what I did was, for instance, the last 6 years, I worked already on a candida sort of elimination diet, and I skipped bread, and I skipped pasta, and I skipped most dairy, and I skipped potatoes, and I skipped coffee, but not always, and I skipped normal tea, and I ate a lot of vegetables. I ate a lot of fruit, but I also ate a lot of oats and rice and carrots and very, very carroty, earthy vegetables, and a lot of ginger and a lot of turmeric. And I know by now that the grains are not so great perhaps as I thought them to be. They filled me up pretty much, and I loved that. I loved a bit of a heavy touch, and I also learned why that was, because all perspectives on those kind of preferences to be heavy just really changed a lot, I have to say. So for 6 years,
you were having some challenges, and that's why you started eliminating stuff out of your diet.
Yeah, that was since 6 years ago. I'm describing right now. Yes. And from 6 years ago until now, well, the last couple of years, I let it go a little bit what I began and what truly helped me in the beginning, those sort of candida elimination stuff, diet, and I worked with that, on that with a food coach and who measured me every month, 2 year long. You can put your hands on devices and they can measure you through completely, and the computer knows every part of your intestines and what's going on there and what you might be doing. That was amazing already, you know. So, but it watered down a bit the last 6 years, and I was just not fully happy with it. And then I learned now also by retrospect that what I did at a certain point, and maybe all the time in a certain way, was, and what I always did was, I did the sort of the basics from every day. I did that, but then I added loads of wine, loads of cigarettes, heaps of pizza from like deep freezer pizza. And then also like days in which I would just at night eat whatever I liked or whatever I fancied, or and then I would add a bit of meat again on a pizza because I thought, oh, that's also great. And then I would add cheese again because I let go cheese. That was, I know cheese is addictive, and that was very difficult. But I did already 6 years ago, and that was, and I would have said that I was that I managed quite well. But in the end, I was eating pizza again, and the cheese was on it, and I loved that, you know. So what was I doing? So I did half. I did half sort of healthy. I mean, we have a really, and I have really another perspective already right now, very different perspective. And it's even evolving my perspective at the moment, because even yesterday, something arrived at soul level in me much more than earlier. And that was, I know we talk about these things, and I mean, it's quite clear that I'm not stupid, you know, but to have something sink in and really open for a sort of an understanding is really another question. So only yesterday something sunk in and was, oh, I have to eat mucusless. That was a sort of a new thing, because I was still thinking and planning, because I planned my food future on my 108 days master fast system. I was still thinking, yeah, I'm going to eat a bit high carb, low fat, raw vegan like-ish, add a bit of cooked food, add a couple of days master fast system every week, add my dry fast, and that's it. But then yesterday I was suddenly, because so many things are now happening in this breaking week, and going from a fasting person for quite a long time, I would say 3.5 months, to an eating person that was very emotional, and like it feels like becoming an eating person consciously for the first time, you know. So, but anyway, what was I going to say? That only yesterday I realized, oh no, it's only called I have to eat mucusless. But I'm still processing that statement as well. So we'll see.
That's the what we suggest is stay on a mucusless diet between your fasts, because the first fast is just your first fast, and then we eat clean, and then we go back. And actually, we should say we want to eat minimally and clean. We don't want to go back to old ways, eating every day. That's something that a lot of people have a trouble comprehending. What we teach, we don't teach to go back to 7 days a week eating, or 3 meals a day. We go back to 5-6 days a week, maximum 1-2 meals a day. That's what our focus is, and eating cleanly and minimally. So, this is the goal, and as the months and the years go by, our eating days will be reduced.
Yeah, they will, and I seem to be loving dry fast.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I really did. I never really consciously did it before in this life that I can remember. Before I seriously jumped into Master Fast System day 1, I tried 36 hours 2 weeks prior just to have a taste for myself. I liked it, but I couldn't go further than 36. It went very quickly for me that I just really loved it. I loved it. I think I have sort of soul memories, and it's a sort of a remembering of how that is actually a natural way to reset yourself and push the healing button in your system, in which your body goes to a natural state of eliminating what is not needed anymore and healing itself. And I think my body and my soul just remembered that in a holistic soul sense. And yeah, I loved it. And I understand now that that means that you're that alone means dry fasting sometimes, you know, means that you're not going to eat every day anymore for the rest of your life. Yeah. And I see myself do that. One of the big advantages that also wrote in my testimonial of Master Fast System and understanding such pieces of tools now by experiencing them is that I have much more confidence in feeding and healing myself, and how to treat myself and how to mother myself. Oh, that last part was very important theme to me, emotionally on the fast. But I know now how for the rest of my life to go to that place. You know, you can always go to that place of dry fast to reset and to push on that healing button on a very literal level. And I never knew it could be so literal. That was a sort of a missing piece in my life, because I'm someone that works with the soul and with soul creativity, soul flow, with energy work. That means with light code work. I work with maybe with meditation and breath work. So, but that it could be so literal, you know, so literal to push that button in the flesh or something. That was amazing. But in the end, I can only say that you helped me, Gino, remember.
Yeah, like that's a good point that you made. We all have that, because where we come from, there's no physical foods. We work on energy strictly. You know, this is the only plane where we eat physical foods, and it's not something I believe it's meant to be, but it's I truly believe it's what enslaved us and got us away from living a true in freedom. But it's slowly coming to surface through the consciousness of humanity that we don't need to actually eat physical foods. We see it all around us by plants. They're not eating physical foods like we think. They're working off energy. And that's why they're in a highly elevated state and on soul level compared to humanity, and is why they are so powerful as medicines, because we can take in their energies and we don't get affected by holding on their emotions like we do animals, because they're highly elevated. So it just helps us, and we don't hold on to any of the emotions that we put them through. They're just here to help us. Whereas when we consume animals, we take in all those emotions the animals lived through its whole life. And I've experienced it. I've shared my story. It's pretty interesting going to eating meat after so many years not eating it. Yeah, I truly understand from that point of why the plants are here. They're here to assist us, to take us back to a non-physical food state, is what I believe. Transition.
That's just so great, because now I understand that we've been talking about a plant. I'm pointing at my magic wand. Yeah, of course it's a plant, but talking about my magical wand. It's, by the way, it's a walking stick. So it's very big. It's standing to the wall, and so you can just walk. Is that called a walking stick? Walking stick. Yeah.
Walking stick.
Or a rod, or a staff, or rod. Rod and staff. That's biblical.
Staff are longer.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a rod. Yeah.
But they're all used as walking sticks as well. And
walking. Yeah, but no, I don't know. But we can go very biblical about all of these things, as well as the first bite that enslaved us, what you were talking about. And I also felt a lot in the beginning of my Master Fast system, 108 days, into biblical references, and also into mythological references to all the kinds of things. And I very much agree with you on that first bite, that maybe like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and the first bite, and how that is so metaphorical and also very literal at the same time, and very biblical, and very much what we do now and what is so topical. Anyway, oh man, and what was I saying? The biblical? Oh, the rod and staff. Oh man, yeah, but then I go in that route, and then I can talk for hours about rod and staff, twin flame unions, or whatever. Anyway, because there are also soul metaphors for tools, soul tools that you sort of need to guard your soul, and guide your ego. Gosh, maybe that's rod and staff. guard your soul and guide your ego, or the other way around. Anyway, the ego needs to be taken care of to come home again within you, so that it finds a resting place, so that it doesn't bother anymore so much by going out, drinking wine and smoking cigarettes, for instance. And the soulful being needs to be acknowledged and to be valued and to be revalued every day and to be fed. The soul body needs to be fed every day, because when you find that's important to you, when your soul is important to you, your soul vibration, and you feed that, and that has also to be done. So that's, I don't know, that's two parts of one circle that we do to take care of our ability to serve humanity. And that's also two sides of the coin, or rod and staff, like what is an herder? How do you say that? Someone that walks with a sheep? Shepherd. Sorry, I couldn't find a word. So Jesus always talks about the shepherd and how he leads his flock of sheep, and then he has the rod and the staff. I don't know. Or it's a little bit of a feeling that one is to punish and the other is to lead, but punish is just really air quoted, because we're not punishing anyone. That's a good idea, but I don't know. I'm so biblical then.
It's interesting that you mentioned about feeding the soul. Once you can learn to feed the soul, you will no longer need physical foods.
That is so right. And I'm on Masterfast system, like 2/3 of the time, I meditated more than an hour a day, and those were also breathing prayers, also with mudras and different kinds, by the way, Arcturus related, Mother Mary related, Jesus Christ related, my own living spiritual teacher, Anandajai related, different kinds, my just being still, but I could and just breathing, and I could very much feel that was so feeding the soul, and that the breathe is already too much. It's already a tool, it's a
hold that thought. Somebody has their microphone open making noise. I can't see who it is. And somebody, can you mute your mic, whoever has it open? I can't see anybody here.
Yes, kom maar in beeld.
Hello, there's one person here, but mute audio. Oh, okay. It was Avikatlatan who had their micro. Okay, go continue. Sorry about that.
My cat is now on my lap.
Ah, hey!
Right.
We learn a lot from animals, that's for sure.
Yeah, we do. So yes, maybe I just like to point out, because now I almost forgotten my jar with my new prayers, and I'm drinking a watermelon cook juice now, because I'm breaking my dry now, live on camera. It was only 24 hours, but anyway. So watermelon cooked juice made by myself, and then I made a sort of bubbly from it. It's actually not even really cooled down, but half lukewarm is also cool. But the biblical thing, it was I forgot. It's really nice that you remind me that I went to Easter festivities church in the beginning of my fasting, because it was in April, and then I saw and heard the Bible, and I saw the images, and it was all about what we were doing. It was about plasma, and it was about eating grapes and drinking wine. And it was just all about it. And I was amazed. And I was understanding that, the snake that seduced Eve, and what kind of snake is that? And I was feeling into my own emotional experience what the heck was meant by that, because so many of those stories are as well literal, bodily, cell memory, like they are intergenerationally right, they are metaphorically right, and sometimes really difficult for people to pick that apart in the right way. What is literal, what is metaphorical. But I seem to have a talent for it, and I also liked it a lot because I'm someone who likes stories, because I'm a writer and a speaker. So, and then I understood that snake is our intestinal tract, our GI tract. That is the snake inside of us. That when put in service of the ego, will be the serpent that is seducing you to all these actions that pollute the environment of yourself, the oceans, the forests and mountains, and even the stars and the sky and the whole universe. And when you reset your GI tract, listen to the soul, and use your GI tract kind of like tool system that you have, which is the first system that is built into the embryo when we are developing in the womb of the mother. So it's that's why I say food is so basic. And I learned from you that it's a, how do you say that? That it is a I'm really bad at those technical words and things to just come up with it at the right time. I didn't rehearse this,
Okay.
It hasn't got breath in it. How do you say? It's closed. Anyway, it's a closed system. And what I want to say is, when
the vacuum system.
The vacuum system, when you use it in the right soulful way, and it's connected to your soulful co-creation, then you will use your GI tract as a matter of plasma field co-creation with fruits, plants, and other people. Other people, I mean just other energy fields, other soul fields.
That's very interesting that analogy that our GI tracks the serpent. I've never heard that one before.
And then the serpent transforms into maybe even again a seductive tool, because sometimes people dream also about serpents that will seduce them to soul transformation. So then, and because the serpent is not a wrong creature, it's just an animal. Maybe they should go on Master Fast system, those serpents, but just like our cats, I don't know. But they're not wrong creatures, absolutely not. They're made by the universe for a reason, just like everything else. But they can be turned to the light. And that's what we Druids do. Yeah, so, and that's also very biblical, all of that. And that was amazing to see. And then it became Easter, and the story came up of the Israeli people going through the water to the other side of the ocean, and the Egyptians coming after them. I hope I say it right. And then as a sort of parasites going after them. But they could, by Moses and his staff, making way into the ocean, and the ocean splitting open, there was the staff again, they could move through a sort of open barrier, and the parasites came after them. And then God flushed the toilet, the ocean, over the parasites again.
Gave it a colonic.
Gave them a colonic, and that's how the Egyptians got thrown in the ocean as parasites. And the Israeli people that listened to the soul, to the voice of the soul by means of the rod of Moses, they were safe on the other side, and they were so. And so I also heard that story as a complete metaphorical story about what we're doing. Well, on Masterfast system as a health tool, because when you speak about groups, you can also hear that story as one person or taking place in one person, because that's the mythological aspect of it. That's how stories work. And you can even listen to that story as a being about cell level. Why not? So that's what on cell level, what we are doing in Masterfast system, to flush the parasites out, to flush the evil meaning people out of your life. And that's also what happens on Masterfast system. On an emotional level, you flush the evil meaning people out of your life, which doesn't have to mean that you have to shut people out. It may just mean that you get such a different perspective on the people around you that those people transform. Or flow in another flow, and you won't meet them anymore. Because we don't kill parasites, as you say, but they serve a goal. And when you change the terrain, the landscaping in your emotional life, that's the same. So all the layers and all that, I can talk about all that stories forever, but let's go to the questions that the people want me to talk about. I'm joking.
Well, maybe you want to share I know you wrote your testimony and everything, but a lot of people that listen to this may not read your testimonial. So your experience going through the actual fast, I know you shared everything on the board and everything, and you had your MP museum and all that. So you want to maybe share the experience going through it. Generally.
Yeah. It's nice that you mentioned my mucoid plaque museum, because I released, actually for 108 days, I released mucoid plaque. In the end, it was a little bit less, maybe the last 20 days, it was a little bit less. But it came out after my initial 36-hour dry fast. I didn't take anything that is recommended on the fast yet. Maybe I had a tea and tincture, maybe. But then on day 3, after 36 hours of dry fasting, maybe taking a tea and tincture, there was my first enormous batch of mucoid plaque. I didn't take plasma pudding ever in my life before. I didn't take any juice on the fast yet, but there it was. And it kept coming out, and it was like meters and meters of stuff. It was decimeters per day, and it was black, brown, green, rubbery ropes that I could pick up out of my toilet with a fork, and I did that every day. And I needed a second fork because it was so much and so thick and so vast. And I scooped it out on toilet paper and laid it on the ground to study it. And I loved that, because I'm a curious person, I'm afraid. And
did it smell like roses?
It smelled not exactly like roses, but yeah. Yeah, no, but it could have been worse. It sounds crazy, but before Masterfast, I had worse smelling stuff out, because I tried a couple of different techniques that didn't really do it for me, but it did some things, and that smelled far worse. So I still have the inclination to say that I put the worst smelling stuff already out before, but of course it didn't smell like roses. But anyway, I scooped all that stuff out and looked at it and photographed it. So, and I set a sort of heart, like on my iPhone. You can say like on your picture. So I liked all my own poop photos, and that way I had the sort of, you can put all the likes under each other in your phone photo album. And that was my private poop museum, which is very funny for a person like me that is an art historian that worked with art always and was teaching children from 6 to 100 years old in a museum for years on end, not such a long time ago. And yeah, of course, I would love to have my own art collection one day, because it's still a love of mine to have beautiful contemporary art and to go to the best European museums that I have seen all around Europe and to see the masterpieces. And it's just wonderful, wonderful experiences that go through the eye and give this enormous pleasure and also insight in the soul sometimes, how art can evoke that soul insight and soul stories as well, that visual arts, for instance. So that is just so great. So it's very funny to make a poop museum.
You named it something else at the beginning, then you changed after weeks and months.
yeah, because I just make stories and I talked a lot on the board, and I actually really talk my heart out, but while doing that I create stories, and that's how it just goes for me, because I'm a poet, I'm a writer. It goes naturally, and that's also how I give meaning and to my life, I think, and to my inner stirrings in my emotional and soulfully bound emotional life. And how I also create an insightful story that I learn much more about myself and about how humans work through my own experience, which I can use as a healer and as a coach very much. So that's what I did, and I really talked a lot. I told a lot of stories, and in the beginning there was also like the mucoid plaque news every day almost from me at the board. That's very true. I did my enema, and while doing my enemas I was just posting on the board. I just did it right at that spot because that was my time off. I took a long time enema-ing every day. In fact, I took 1 to 3 hours every day, sometimes 3 hours. And there were really periods that it was 3 hours every day. I was busy doing enema after enema to get all that stuff out. I mean, it was my prayer to get that stuff out. So I was happy to get that stuff out. I mean, I was sick around that mucoid plaque reaching surface. And I learned that from my only one halfway colon hydrotherapist. I did only one halfway in a professional way. And I learned from her that when the toxins, so the huge snake enters, it exits and it gets close to the senses of the skin, then you get sick. Because when it's in you, you don't get sick. Because you would say, well, it's in me already for 37 years. Why am I not walking around sick? Why could I function, for God's sake? How was that even possible that I could function? I mean, when you see what comes out of you, 8 meters at least of thick rubbery, you could pick it up with a fork and lay it on a barbecue and grill it and pretend or serve it to your neighbors, as a new brand of sausages. I mean, we should brand it and sell it, and I could make some money at least finally, Joke. So, now of course I lost my train of thought because I'm completely into the, yeah, so 8 meters of mucoid plaque. And how can you function like that when it's in you, and when you see it coming out, then you suddenly know, oh my goodness, this was in me. How could I function? This is incredible. Yeah. And every day a piece. And so I busted the whole myth personally that it doesn't exist. So because it's actually quite awkward that it shouldn't even exist, because then I have a whole mucoid plaque museum full of my own pictures. I should sell tickets for it, by the way, so that I can make a little bit of money out of it. It would be really nice for someone recovering from a financial trauma. Joking again. Tickets from a museum, yeah, what price will they be? I think at least €11, because I think 11 is a beautiful number as well. Yeah, or maybe like 22. 22 is my co-creational number. 11 is my waking up number, and 22 is my co-creation number, which is plasma field interaction with each other. That's co-creation, that's soul creativity. Anyway, so that's maybe that's the number for when 2 people buy a ticket. Yeah, that should be for my poop museum, €22. Anyway, my poop museum. I busted that myth that I made pictures of something that doesn't exist. Wow.
Well, it's all kinds of colors comes out, and different shapes, and it's different odors, and it's
but it doesn't exist, as you know.
No.
So so it doesn't exist, but it came out just like that after a dry fast, and after setting my intentions, and after praying for 9 months that it would come out, and it did come out. And
have you
it has nothing to do with plasma pudding. It has nothing to do with all kinds of fancy things, and it has nothing to do with doesn't exist. It just exists, and it comes out, and it runs out of you when you pray hard enough.
Have you noticed? Usually, when you start to feel horrible, you have usually a release coming out when you start getting these weird feelings and so on and so forth. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I think the main sickness I had was when I went in the weekends, I was dry. Most of the times I was 48 to 60 hours dry. And then on Monday, I went from dry to wet. And then I became the most sick. Because then what was stirred up in the dryness, what was being pushed to or prepared to leave, would then leave. A biblical story with the Egyptians and the ocean and Moses with the rod, and then it would flush out. So then I would get sick, and on my worst, I was puking and pooping at the same time. We hear it a lot on the board. I heard it lately 2 times again from other people having the same experience. And I could get very, very sick, also on the forehand. And then you actually know that there is a big release coming out of you. Absolutely, yes. So, yeah. I think I just also want to say that seeing my mucoid plaque coming out was very important to me, because I could physically mourn my losses and mourn my sort of the loss of the food that we so-called loved, or that is considered lovable by the multi-generational trauma that is in my family lines. And that trauma eats that, My multi-generational trauma, Pac-Man, loves fat and starchy food, doesn't it? It doesn't. This is a snake. Oh, there it is. Hi, I'm Snake. So my snake is talking now. So I love it. I love it. That was enough. That was enough, Snake. He loves it. Yeah, and I also kept on dreaming now and then. It was a sort of a joke at the end. It was a joke. It felt like a joke in the beginning. It felt very serious, but in the end, it felt like I kept on now and then on MFS system dreaming about that a snake that likes starchy food and fat, and because I was eating it in my dream. And that's how I really learned and understand so much more about what we do, or what actually is the food pattern in my life. But I want to say that it had a great therapeutic and emotional function and effect on me, that mucoid plaque actually came out because I could mourn the loss of the so-called loved food that I was also willing to give up to, because MFS system was also for me, to start it, was for me a bridge to a new food future for myself, that I could then start on a blank slate and on a more blank. You know, I'm not considering myself healed or clean or whatever. It doesn't exist. And the soul is clean, the soul is pure, the source of the soul is pure. The rest will be dirty forever. Dirty mind is a joy forever, they say, which is also very true. And I also have that. But anyway, yeah, I don't consider myself to be healed or clean, but still I wanted to go to a new start for a new food future, and I knew that by some sort of soulfully knew that by losing remnants of that old pattern, I could take that bridge to that new food future in an easy way. And who would have thought that the bridge was also very easy, very effective, and very efficient. And that's MFS system. I'm now saying that is the bridge. That is the bridge. And it is cost neutral, which is also a great relief and surprising. Oh, I want to mention that we were talking about, just in a side note, just in between, we were talking about what it cost on the board again yesterday or today. And then today I knew I could calculate now for myself what I spent. And I thought, yeah, because I was maybe a little bit skeptical on the board today about it. And I was like, yeah, I should actually answer more seriously. And I looked at it now, and I was on a budget, and I bought a lot of stuff with Bitcoin, because I had a client that paid me in Bitcoin, and I'm into that new digital money and crypto money area a lot for some years already. They also call me Bitcoin goddess. So there you go. I have many titles. But I could answer that question a bit more seriously. And I looked it up, and I spent around €8, which is sort of dollarish, a day. Yeah, and at least. And I think you say all the time it's some sort of $10 a day.
It depends how many herbs you do, how much you take, how much juice you drink.
But I also did my donation for MFS system also on it, and I really did it on a very, very, very low budget. And I also didn't follow the full guidelines concerning the tinctures, which I don't advise to anybody. Please follow the guidelines. Because I took a little bit less tinctures than would be, in fact, advisable. Let's put it like that. But I did spend around €8 a day. Around.
You were on the star formation for the absolute minimum, right? Yeah.
I was. Yes.
Let me just
so that was a bit of a small money thing in between, and I know people really want to know that, so this is my number, and I put my donation to MasterFast system also in that calculation as well. So yeah, I think there was a lot in it, and I hope I also put my Bitcoin in it. Yeah, I did. I hope I did. Well, maybe then €10 a day. I don't know. But I looked at it a bit more seriously. But I was actually talking about how good it was to mourn that loss of eating for 37 years, wasn't it? And I found myself kneeling next to my toilet, caressing my shit. I really did that. Maybe only once. And I really poked in it with my fork because of curiosity and etc. But yeah, maybe I did that only once or twice. But I was then about to cry because I could feel the memories of all life memories were flushing through me and through my vision and my sight and my eyes and my soul and my memory, and came up all day long, popping up. Oh, this is what we did when I was little. This is my mother with tea with milk and cookies when we came home from school, and this is with my family bowling and eating, and this is me with my family eating again, and this is me with my extensive family on a cycling tour every year, but it was only it evolved only around eating, and we were just cycling from eating to eating, and so it was a very cycling day, but it was actually from eating to eating. And that's what we do, what they do in my family, and I also love it. It's also strange to say that it should be wrong or that it is strange or whatever. That's what people do. That's what we do, and it is also okay. I think it's not good to become a food extremist in that kind of way, because then it has nothing to do anymore with compassion. Compassion is a soulfully understanding of where we are all standing and where we are all coming from, and the enjoyment of food is part of life. And yeah, but then again, which snake are you feeding? Or in other words, who is the master of that snake?
Let me
Anyway.
Let me go read some stuff people have been posting here. I just remembered to check.
Okay. People are posting questions.
Hang on.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Let me see. From Lisa B. Many souls touch me. It's a thing to do, sir, when you feel your worst, to recognize someone else's suffering is greater than our own. Lisa B. Vegan, eliminate suffering of others first, then introduction to raw species-specific diet, then introduction to healing or knowledge detox, then, oops, somebody posted it, moves down, I lost it.
Well, the species-specific diet is fruit, and that's because we have the best
it's in the matter feed.
Plasma field interaction with fruit, and we also have a quite good co-creational interaction, plasma field interaction with vegetables sometimes, isn't it? And with herbs, and not so good with water, in fact. So I began to understand the water perspective also so much more thanks to you, Gino. And because I love water a lot, but it's more of a ritual use of it, because water can contain information by keeping it in its structure very well. So you can see that in, for instance, by you, Gino, very, very well known, you did those experiments yourself, graphics that we also see on Facebook or on other places sometimes about the 432. I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce it. 432 hertz and induced in water, or yeah, well, what was it? Yeah, then you get really another pattern, for instance, in water. So, and if you put crystals in water, then the water will spread the crystal frequency or pattern out in the water. So if you put toxins in water, which there are in our water that runs in our kitchens, there is a lot of toxins in it because it's just not taken out. Then that influences the structure, and the structure, when you drink it, you put that structure in your body. It doesn't even hydrate you, but you put those broken structures and those uneven, non-soulfully structures in your energy system, and that is not very conducive to a healthy energy being. So you pollute your own breathing space, your own energy field like that. But on the other hand, I feel that water could have a ritual meaning. I'm also baptized in water in the Christian faith, but there's also a ritual use of water. But you could also perhaps take little bits of medicinal frequency water that have the right spread out of or beneficial spreads out of frequencies in it and influence your energy field in that way. I think that could be a healing.
Yeah. Crystals are also all based on A equals 432.
All based on it, you say?
Mm-hmm. They're all in the same overtone. They're in that range of overtones. That's why they use crystals for clocking on computers. It's all based on that. The clocks. It's everything is in nature in this universe is based on 432. In the other universes, it may be something else, but in this universe, 432 is very important.
Yeah, you were so amazed that I knew that, but I was amazed by your question because I thought it was common sense. There are a lot of things that I personally think that are common sense, but it seems.
What was my question?
Huh?
What was my question?
What was your question? How I knew, this is it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
How I knew about 432. There we go. We both have it.
This is a 128, which is a C note. This is 432, which is the A note, right?
Yeah.
This is very, very soothing. This resonates with bone structure. They'll use chiropractors or doctors.
Yeah, I get it.
To check bone fractures because it resonates with bone. And it's
I felt that it was bone.
Yeah, very, very relaxing. I think cat's purr is in that line. You know, when a cat purrs, yeah, you can reset yourself just on your body. You don't need to drink water ever.
This is a key to me. Because I'm now key holder 108, and you call it key holder of MFS system, which is great. I was already very much busy with keys at least from 1 year ago, and I found keys everywhere on my meditative walks. And but the idea of key is the door opener, which is, by the way, Peter in the Christian faith, and that's of course my name giver. And Petra, meaning in Greek, meaning stone, because that's why I like crystals so much, and I put them in water, and water I use ritually every day. But anyway, so the whole story is round, and I like that. But so in the Christian cross, to me, is also a key because it looks like a key, in fact, a bit, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's also the shape in which you have a shaft and a central, so a column and a central area, or like a womb and a penis, or a womb and a vagina, or, you know, it's also a sexual symbol, which is quite relevant, but also normal, because a key goes in the door, so that's also a sexual symbol already, and a key opens a new space, and in sexual sense it opens heaven, it opens the door of the womb, and after the door of the womb there is heaven. And that is heaven when we're not born yet. Then we're in there as a fetus growing, as a first structure, our GI tract is being formed. We're then as a fetus in heaven, and we are born out of heaven into the earth. Anyway, the key, yeah, this is a key to me, one of the keys that I call key, because like the tuning fork in itself, maybe even this is a key. This is my burnt stick. My burnt spoon.
Yeah, I started off with this little guy
Oh yeah, nice.
I found, and then I made a bigger one.
I saw you with that one last time.
A
Yeah.
rounded edge and a pointed edge I made, so it's much easier to work with and digging deeper into the kidneys.
Yeah. Yeah, you should almost say that I should burn my wand over there. But that one is a traditional, and it is really finished as is now. You know, you can alter it absolutely, and you make it personally, and I did make it, personalize it. But I'm not going to burn it, that one. But I have another one, a bit less of a thing. And I started burning it. It's in my kitchen, but I'm not finished with it yet. I'm not happy with it yet. With that would then be just something like this, just a handheld magic wand. But I'm not happy with it yet, so I don't know. So I started to find keys 1 year ago, and then at the beginning or at the first days, or maybe like upon starting my official 108 journey on MFS system, I found another one, and that's this one. So
big key.
yeah, and this was the biggest that I ever found. Yeah, it's very heavy. It's a sort of, yeah, you put it, it's for a car or something.
Yeah.
You know,
So, yeah.
through some things, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then something is locked. But anyway, it's very heavy, and I put it as a presse-papier. That's a French word. I hope it's a normal English word as well. In my manifestation bowl, which I have in my kitchen. It's a bowl, and in it there was an envelope with the letter that I wrote to myself, where my motivation was written in, and some other green light envelope, and unconditional love intention letter that I had, and crystals, and I put this on it as a presse-papier so that it kept down. It's very heavy. Yeah, so I brought that to the. I also wanted to show this one. This is a book with Mother Mary prayers that I did the whole book, and that's only one of my prayers sequences that I did while on MFS system, because as I said, I did also other spiritual practices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very important. That was because I think people also ask me, like, how did you do that? How did you not crave anything? Because I did not really crave food or anything, or no. How do you not have problems, Petra? How come you? Well, I did have a lot of problems, and I mean, because that's also, I'm not supernatural. All those normal things are just absolutely mine. But maybe the point is that I didn't make a problem out of it so much. Sometimes maybe in a dramatical sense, because I try to tap into that soul feeling, and that made me carry through every day because I was fed. I was fed on the soul level. And when you start your day feeding your soul on a cell level, then you're just as human with all those human things, but they don't interfere with your intent and emotion that you're journeying on a soul basis so much.
When we see people posting with so many challenges, if you read between the lines, they're focusing too much on the physicality. When you focus on the soul, you won't be hungry. You won't be hungry. You'll be well fed and you'll be satisfied.
Yeah, that's true. But Master Fast System is, on the other hand, a very specific bodily tool, physical tool-like thing, and a lot of the instructions and what you do all day long, every day, Gino, is giving precise, practical tips. And I also think that is great to see how you do that. And I also enjoyed very much seeing you react on people, how you did that. And I hope I learned a lot from it. It was very enjoyable to see how you could be very specific, yet at the same time very general and soul-based, but that the actual communication was a lot of time just what you did with all kinds of people about the practical stuff, like do this, do that, like more juice, less this, and that's very practical, and that was some sort of new to me. And I think in the end, I mean, in Master Fast System, I went shy on food. I felt my worthlessness, that I was very much ingrained in my soul and my being. I didn't dare to go out really that much anymore. I did not really dare to go into supermarkets. And maybe I was hiding a little bit, but also to protect myself, to take a few weeks off, to really get myself safe into that and ground myself into what was the actual idea of those practicalities that we practice while fasting. And and when I managed that, then I managed that enough for my idea, and I managed to dry brush twice a day. I managed to do all those enemas, and I managed to manage my sickness while pooping out all that mucoid plaque and spitting out acid, and everything was a bit in my understanding. Then I started growing again emotionally, and then I started to go out again, and I even had a date on day 54. That was a celebratory time for me because I was going out again, I was having a date, I was risking more, let's say, risking more ridicule, risking more talking with clients and people in my work about what I was actually doing. And then day 54 was halfway and celebratory, and I was going very far in my perception, in my emotional journey. I was even eating out with him in an Indian restaurant where you could pay with Bitcoin, because we're living in Bitcoin world capital here and we're doing Bitcoin things. After a Bitcoin meetup, we went to the Indian restaurant, and I was on a dry. I did not eat and not drink. I had a bit of tincture with me, and I enjoyed very much my celebratory date dinner on day 54. Yeah, with my date, sniffing his food, not eating, not drinking, taking a drop of tincture. And it was a great celebratory evening. And that was just amazing. To be able to get so far into the whole turning around of the food perspective in a social sense, that you can enjoy all of those things that we love. We love eating out with our loved ones, and we enjoy food, and and because it makes us social and crave talking and to each other and about the food, and to do all of that without any food or any drink intake whatsoever, not to have a good time, not to soothe pain, not to flee bad times, none of that, and to be perfect. And that brought me a lot. Yeah, I learned how to deal with food in a food sense and in a metaphorical sense for all kinds of levels by learning to deal with no food. Life had given me no children, no money, no partner. At a certain point in the last couple of years, no clients, no friends. And then it gave me no food. And then it gave me no water on Master Fast system. And all of that just reset me completely. And I understand now why this food was so pivotal for me to do that sort of as the last no this, no that riddle. And also as the first take me to the future kind of movement that I absolutely feel as a wind blown through my life at this moment. Also my business life, for instance, but my soul life first and foremost, because that's where my business also is based upon, to have that food as the pivotal turnaround, because it's so incredibly basic. Yeah.
Let me read through some more of these. What else is
Yeah,
here?
what do we have? What kind of questions do we have?
Lisa, the sound of drinks being handled is hard for me tonight because I'm on dry fasting, hour 38. Well, it's an hour ago, so she's 39 now. Thanks. Thanks. Yes, everyone is on me. It's much cheaper to be on Mass Fast than eat, just like Gino says. Chrysalie, yes, it is. Rana, totally. Lisa, I think I have blockages allowing me to access my soul energy for many years now. Bhuma, imprints, great analogy. Imprints and bacteria are actually life forms. It could be a fascinating narrative. I have a lot of evil in my body. I have evil people that have left my life, thankfully. They were called family. Vima, parasites have vibrational frequencies. Yeah, everything has field strength, different levels. We are working ourselves together, Lisa. I was from Rana. Lisa, so true. I love art. This is everything in art. There is art.
I have to get the feeding for my laptop. I'm going to get it. Just read on. That's why I disappear for a moment.
Yeah. What else we got here? Vima, photograph installation, grand opening. How long was your dry fast? Okay, that's a question. We'll wait till she gets back. If anybody has questions, it's easier to come on live than me reading the questions. I keep forgetting I got to read the chat. So yeah, we got every single person has a very unique experience going through Master Fast. It's all amazing. You know, I see the miracles being transformed all the time when people start getting into the 30, 40, 50 days in Master Fast, and then especially when you go longer. It's very obvious if you pay attention. The little miracles. I talked to one on Petra just before we got on. Something that had transformed in her that I don't know if anybody's picked it up from the start till now. It actually just happened within the last few weeks of her fast. I corrected on her People pay attention, don't know what I'm talking about. It's pretty obvious. This is what I mean when we have access to blueprint design. Body has access to that when we go on these extended digestive vacations. Can you hear us, Petra?
Yeah.
Vima was asking photograph installation grand open. How long was your dry fast when you were going through? What was your schedules?
Okay, so I dry fasted every day around. I don't. What is a wet window? What is a dry window every day? 12 to 16 hours.
Okay. And every week?
I wasn't, and at the beginning I was looking at that more closely, and at a certain time I wasn't so strict with it, or like, oh, now I have to look at my watch, what time it is. I just kept it concise, but the window was also moving a bit through the day, depending on what I was doing. Every week I dry fasted for 36 to 60 hours.
Every week?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
But at the beginning I did a few of 36, but very quickly I went to 48 to 60. And then I had a tendency to go to 60 all the time. And then I had to hold myself back because I heard all the time that I could tire myself out, and that going 108 days was already so much to ask from yourself, that maybe you shouldn't dry fast so much. But I loved it. And so, why is that a lot? I mean, now you make me second guess even that, because I did the weekend. So from Friday evening to Monday morning. So that's over 48 hours. That's 60 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
well, you got to remember, we have people from all walks of life. People, so many different genetics and lifestyles and blah, blah, blah. And for the majority part, newbies, I would never recommend that. But you went with a lot of feeling and intuition, and you came through because most people would not be able to handle that time. They'll dry themselves out. They'll start backing up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, in the beginning I had a dry mouth, but that after some weeks that became better and better. It just went quite quickly. But I also have to say that I learned a lot about what pushing is and what it not. In fact, now in my breaking week, because it's now 1 week over, and this week I had new insights in what pushing means, because then people sometimes say, yeah, push your dry fast, and but sometimes it's also like, don't push. It was difficult for me to feel out what that meant for me. Do I push myself or do I not push myself? What am I actually doing? Because it's difficult to feel for yourself into what you're actually doing, because when you are used to pushing yourself, you maybe not even feeling that you are, these are like these psychological, emotional jokes that life plays with you. And I was pushed a lot as a child. So I learned to push myself to do every task needed, and then I had to unlearn pushing myself and other people. That took me 17 years, and maybe it only stopped last week. So I may have been pushing myself a bit, but I wasn't really aware of that. And then I had to put on a lot of brakes, pushing a lot of brakes for myself to learn to understand what I was doing with that. Don't do 60 hour every week when you want to do 108. And that was one of the cues that made me feel into what I was actually doing. And so I got a new perspective, and that maybe was that I maybe was pushing myself a bit, a bit. But I was actually quite okay, I think. And in the end, then I learned to also by having done it maybe in a bit of a pushy way, I also learned what pushing means, and I also learned what the true feeling is of not touching water with your hands, even, because I really did that one a fair amount of times, just really not touch anything, and to really learn what that feels like, even to not touch the water as well. And that had a very certain feeling to me, and that I could quite distinguish quite very well from when you do touch water on a dry. And it was all very nice to feel, but the last couple of weeks I gave myself permission to make it all a bit wet dry-ish, and to take tinctures, and the wine tinctures that I made myself a little bit, and yeah, things like that, or take after 2 days or 1.5 day, or take a salt bath, or give myself permission to that kind of things, and that made it absolutely enjoyable and also less pushy. I did one monthly dry fast, and that was 72 hours, so 3 days exactly, and that was not the longest. Oh, that was not the longest, no. I also did the rest of the monthly fasts I did not do, because I had to restrain myself because of what I just said, because of wanting to do 108 and trying to not push myself. While it didn't feel like pushing, because I was raised in a pushy way, so then you don't feel that you are pushing. So all of that became more clear as well in an emotional way, as I just said. And then I did a closing fast, because I began my 108 with 36 hours. And I think that was ideal, that I heard that tip before starting already, to do that, because you really reset yourself before you even set your first step into master fast system. So that was great. You reset your taste buds and your body, so you're already sort of open and prepared to do something else, because that's what the dry fast does in my experience. It pushes that button where you can go open to something else than what you did before. And so I also ended with a dry fast, and I took the time to be able to do 6 days dry, but that was a little bit much, and I also had to work a little bit at the end, and I became very tired, which wasn't, I felt, due to the dry fast, but due to my emotional state and what I was processing on that closure dry fast. And in the end, I did 4.5 days, 108 hours dry fast to close my 108 days. Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I didn't even know that I did that, but I did. And then there was 1.5 day left to just do my meditation with clients evening, and drink a little bit of grape juice and prepare myself mentally, and juicing up to go mentally to the end of the emotional end of it all. And that was very good to do that on a wet yeah. Those were my dries.
Okay. Bree says, I do understand what you mean about feeling traumatized after release and feeling something as a shocked kind of loss. Love from Bree. Robert, more like toxins added. Music can be mixed at that frequency. Vima, yeah, you can change the music. But it's nothing like playing a band playing live in 4/3/2 and analog. Digital has a different feel. It's missing elements because there's switches going on and off in a computer versus getting all the subtle frequencies we can't hear, but the soul hears them.
Oh yeah, can I say something about that?
Yep.
Because I noticed that. Well, first of all, like in two-thirds of my fast, I became that clean, if I may say so. I'm sorry. That I began attracting what was soulfully meant for me. So I became indeed a magnet for stuff and situations that were right for me in the most holistic way, and what I always in my whole life longed for. And one of my big longings was my piano, and my piano came home to me. It was brought to me by my parents, who were moving house, with which I also longed for very much, that my parents also went to another phase, and our relationship too, and it all did. My parents were moving. The piano moved to me. I didn't even ask for it. It just came to me. I even resisted almost. The piano came to me, and the piano tuner came with it, because my parents were also paying the piano tuner and bringing him in. And so the piano tuner just was here with the piano and everything. My parents were here, and the wife of the piano tuner were here, and every blah blah in my office, which is my creative office and my business office at the same time. And they were just putting the piano there, which I played on since I was a child. And then suddenly the piano tuner began talking about, yeah, but I also can tune your piano in 432. I was like, what? What am I hearing? You know, this is a joke. Or what is this? So universe is playing tricks on me, then they say, right? It's a sort of an expression, but it's not tricks. It's magic. It plays magic on you. But it's just the resonance of your surrounding. When your landscape differs, your parasites look for another home, and other things come to you. That's the magnetic field that you are as a soul. So the piano just came home, and the piano tuner with a 432 idea came home too, quite literally, and just suggested me. And of course I said, well, what a good idea. Let's do that. And but I was stupefied, because that's what I wanted, because I work on that frequency.
That's interesting. Yeah, he brought it up. It's the way it works. Your gravitation magnetic fields are all lining up for these things to happen.
Right. And supermarkets were raised up in my area, really opened for the first time on MFS system when I needed them to be closed. And also suddenly having the tools that I needed on MFS system, which they formerly didn't have. And I live a little bit more remote to city center and that kind of stuff. So it was all amazing to me. But it's also a matter of perception, of course. I get that, and it all plays a role. But it was amazing. Yeah. So that was piano, and so many things come home now. It's amazing. So because I work with 432, right? I also heal with that, and I tuned all my drinks on MFS system with my tuning fork. That's just one of my tricks that I would love you to do. It only costs like €20. You just buy it on the internet. It will be sent to you. Just put it in. Put it in your ear. Put it in your drink, in your tea, and it will just resonate at least a little bit on a soul level, and maybe it can just give you that kind of push, to make it. It's
very, very simple to do. You don't have to put it in. You just need to touch it.
Right. I also touch the rim of the glass and my straw. But and then I also put it in. Anyway.
We found you do it 3 times. It's maximum frequency interaction. It won't go any more after 3. We did many tests with that.
Really? Because I also do 3 max, or I do a lot 3. Oh.
Yeah.
I like that, because you're much more like the practical, technical man. I'm more someone that I cannot explain it, but I do.
In matter, physicality, we're talking that, but in emotion, intent, you can do it instantly. Much more powerful at the soul level. What's his Brie? I do understand, Elsa, Petra, that what you mean about feeling traumatized after. No, I did that one. So true about them. important to feed our souls made my 100-day journey so much easier. Thank you for clarifying this, Petra. Sarah, thank you, Petra, for sharing your experience. I've enjoyed listening. Peter and Bree say, wow, I don't remember what that was for. Vima, I ordered my Sandahara Indian instrument to be tuned to 423. You mean 432? 432, yeah. Okay. Anybody have any other questions you want to ask Petra?
I just want to say that I was fasting since maybe 2003, 4, 5.
What type of fast?
But I always did some sort of things like, first I went 1 week to my teacher and then I was fasting for 10 days, things like that. And then I would do a 5 days rice, 5 days fruit fast. You know, I did things like that. And in understanding that we have now, we wouldn't do rice fasting. But anyway, I always loved it. But I always kept on manipulating myself with food. Yeah, because we just have the tendency to manipulate ourselves and therefore also other people, which is a root of, maybe you could say evil, but evil is just a little bit stupid word because it's just the opposite. It's just we're turned the wrong direction with our heart. Our heart just has to turn a bit to the sun, and then it's not evil anymore, but it's life. And it's not very difficult, but it looks like difficult.
Yeah, for make a true fast, it really only is a dry fast, absolute dry.
Yeah, now I understand that, but I did not. And with my spiritual teacher, for instance, maybe he did things for himself, which he did, but for other people, he didn't really push harsh things or like go dry. No, he would never do that.
Yeah, this dry type of fasting is pretty extreme for the average person that hasn't heard about it. Where it's as natural as breathing in the animal kingdom. You know, bears do it for 6-7 months. Lisa Rana saying thank you for sharing your experience with us. Much love. Lisa, how do you structure? Where'd it go? How do you structure your meals and eating during the day?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to answer that because, is it an eating question or a fasting question? Well, let's say when it's a fasting question, then I just sort of do what the suggestion is, what everyone does, and I just did it a bit my way. It's not really special. There are good suggestions, I think, and good guidelines, and you can stay within that guidelines with actually taking a lot of room and space to be intuitive about it. And maybe at first you just pick guidelines for times and a time set up that you think would work, and then you go from there and get more intuitive when you practice on Master Fast System. I think that's how I did it.
Is that like a lunch and dinner? Or?
Sorry?
Is that like lunch and dinner? How's your meal structure? What your times, or you don't have any times, or?
Me? Oh, yeah. I don't know, and I really have to think. Of course I had time. Yeah, I began at 12 or at noon or something with tea. And then I would do, I don't know what I did. And then I would do enemas or...
No. We're talking about eating now.
Oh, eating?
Yeah.
I'm not eating. I'm just going from Master Fast System in a liquidarian state at this point. and I'm not even eating yet. I'm 1 week off 108 days. I'm not eating really hard foods yet. I'm just eating smoothies as a lukewarm soup and drinking green juices and drinking the tea/broth every day. And I did watermelon smoothies, and I did a dry again after 1 week of 24 hours. And at this point, I do sort of the same. I begin at noon with a tea, and then I do a green juice, and then in the evening I do a lukewarm smoothie soup with some fruit in it, and then I close the day with a broth/tea again. And that's a bit what I did. And I also did some tinctures in it the whole week. And I'm lessening now with tinctures, and I think I'm going to stop now with tinctures. And what did I say? Yeah. And I do watermelon juice. Yeah. And I plan to, tomorrow I have a fruit party. Then some friends will come over to celebrate 108. And it's also for clients and colleagues and friends and Masterfast people as well. So my fruit feast is tomorrow, and I prepped for that all day long. And I made food, and I'm still in the course of making it. It's middle of night. Maybe I will go on with it tomorrow morning, or even now. I'm not sure. And I prepped again. I prepped food that I will not eat most probably, and because I cannot eat it yet, or I don't feel safe yet eating it, or I don't want to shock myself suddenly to eat a very cold cake with bananas and dates in it. And I'm really not at the station of bananas and dates yet, and I'm afraid I'm really not going to do it. But I had incredible fun making it, and I would love to serve that to the people tomorrow. And I made sure that there are some things that I can eat, like for tomorrow, I'm planning maybe not a green juice, but a yellow one. And I bought a yellow squash for it, some carrots, some orange juice, some oranges, and I will be making a orange green juice, and maybe drink a bit of that. I made a soup made out of tropical fruit, mango, and what more? Apricots and some dates and a lot of curry-like seasoning in it. And that will be a sort of tropical, spicy curry soup that I could also eat something from. Things like that we are going to serve tomorrow, but I will just only be eating, what I can, and not what is not the idea. I mean, I want to be sustainable with myself, in fact. Yeah.
So basically,
If that was the question, then this is the answer. I don't know. I will be, of course, I will be eating. I will be working towards more fruit, and then I will be working towards my written eating plan that I think will become much more refined, and I will be creating new experiences that will refine the intent and emotion with which I will be going on my new food plan, because I've written a food plan that I hope to go in by the time the new season starts, and by the time it's October, etc. I hope to have arrived a bit safely at a sort of new eating plan at the same time as my new working schedule, because I'm an entrepreneur. You organize everything yourself, every aspect of your working life as well. So I can just do whatever. But in fact, I'm someone that just will make very precise time frames, and I'm going to intuitively and flowing wise into that direction, and I hope to arrive there in October, November, to really have my new working schedule as an entrepreneur and my new food schedule out. And what I've written down is, among others, that I will be starting the week with a dry on the Monday, and then I will be going to 2 masterfast days on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then 2 fruit and a bit of vegetable days on Thursday and Fridays, and then go to a creative eating weekend in which I wanted to eat high carb, low fat, raw vegan with cooked additions in a bit more social, creative way, and maybe also invite people for that more festive eating, and create also network moments in it with people, maybe even on video, because I also do videos on my own YouTube channel, Creativity TV. Maybe even also doing more videos in which is food is incorporated with guests, or even talking with guests in that kind of way, and inviting them for things that are also food kind of like related, as a tool of networking and being together and being creative together. So that is then my creative food weekend, which should not be stuffed with food, but have funny food moments anyway. For instance, on Saturday, I was thinking about around coffee time without coffee, because I'm actually planning to skip the whole coffee part of my business practice. But lately, I still tended to keep the coffee in, because, for instance, today my father was present, and by the way, he signed my peace treaty, which is a peace vehicle from the Cashy Institute, where you, Gino, so incredibly much learned that you incorporated in Masterfast system, as far as I understand it all. And I already knew plasma water, so I was more into Cashy things than I really ever knew that I was, because I didn't know I was into it, but apparently I was. So, and my father signed my peace treaty as a witness for me, and I'm very proud of that. But when he visits, I just want to serve him his coffee, because that's what he wants to drink. So in that way, maybe I will keep a little bit of coffee in the cupboard anyway. But I was thinking about skipping the whole coffee thing for clients as a basic deliverance, because I'm not going to do it myself anymore. So a lot of things. But Saturday on coffee time, that's where I was. Then I was thinking about maybe that could be a nice time to have a networking guest over, maybe do a video, and then serve this sort of high carb, low fat, raw vegan pie, that you shouldn't eat too much from, or just let the guest eat and don't eat it yourself, kind of like thing. And then on Sunday in the afternoon, have a great festive meal with spiralized zucchinis and all kinds of great pasta-like things that are not pasta, and then great fruit things later. And I don't know. I like to be creative, and I'm really working on a lot of ideas, and also to share that in my entrepreneurial life, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. And I think I really have to feel into if this is really working for me, because it was quite theoretical, it was quite theoretical, of course, to say when you were a not eating person for 3.5 months and you have said goodbye to your mucoid plaque as your favorite children that you have to say goodbye to, that you grew up with all your life, and you almost cry about it, and then you were a non-eating person, and then you have to understand your food future, that's too much to ask. Well, because I'm quite intellectual, I can intellectualize a lot about it and mentalize a lot about it, but the emotional click needs to come, and the soul click needs to come for it to be sustainable. And that's, I think, what I'm waiting for. And I'm not waiting, I'm just trying to live my life and fulfill my process every day. But I think that's what the process needs, that I make this emotional click also with my so-called schedule. If I do 2 days of Masterfast system every week, is that working, or should I just do 1 day of Masterfast system every week? Or or is this week thing is not working, or I don't know yet. Or what time should I go dry on Sunday evening, and what time should I go wet on Monday evening? Well, I put that already in my schedule. It's exactly in my schedule because on Sunday evening, after my newsletter and after my social media strategy, I go dry. And that also takes me an hour, and then Monday evening after we do the healing call, which I plan to do in future in my own Facebook group for creative entrepreneurship, creative entrepreneurs sharing their heart's mission, it's called. And it's very much close to my heart and dear to my heart, and an expression of my peace treaty, my world peace mission. In that group, which everyone is very welcome to, by the way, we just share freely and openly all kinds of tools. That way, it will be looking a little bit like Master Fast System. We have people from all over the world, so it looks a bit like it, in fact, and we already function for 2 years, but now it starts to grow again and to transform again in that group on Facebook. Very welcome again. And then on Monday evening, I'm planning to do a healing call for that group, which I was already planning to do on Zoom, which we are on now, before I met you, Gino, and before we were apparently doing Zooms in Master Fast System, and I had no idea that we were going to do this. So there we go. And then after the healing call Monday evening is over, I go wet again at 9:30. Well, I'm just picking this small piece out because I like to maybe to explain how I in fact work through my whole week schedule as an entrepreneur, and incorporating my food plan is enormously motivating for me. It was motivating the last couple of 3.5 months, weeks, to be able to make that new and all those new business plans and how to spread my mission and unfold it and make my time schedule and the food plan integrating in all of that was incredibly motivating, and I had no idea. But only after breaking the last week, like the recent week that I just went through, that was the time in which I also very much felt that I needed the actual emotion to be present in the now, to feel that it could actually become true or not. Is it working or is it not working? Because I was breaking at 1:08. I was breaking, but I did not feel like drinking anything else than I did. And I did certainly not feel like eating, because I became a non-eating person, remember? I became sort of a liquidarian, non-eating person. And I didn't even really feel like changing to green juices, but I thought that out quite extensively that I would, so I did, and I was curious about the other color, going from red to green. I was very curious. So out of curiosity, I do a lot of things because that's how I am. Curiosity to the soul is the best, of course, to be able to start fasting. So that's another tip that you may want to hear me say. I would say that was my best one until now. I was curious to green juice, but I did not feel like I wanted to eat. I had been thrown at me from the universe very recently a free freezer. My father that was going to pick it up with me said it was a pig-sized freezer, and that's very true. And it is already quite a lot stashed with very ripe seasonal local fruit, which is great, of course, that I managed to do a little bit of that the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks or something. And so I was really looking forward to after the fast, but I did not even feel like eating that fruit. that was also not the idea, because I planned exactly to do a lot of green juice and only then afterwards go to the fruits. But I
Okay,
didn't feel like eating.
Lisa's
And
asking, do you
yeah,
foresee,
so I'm going slowly
can
from,
you hear me? Hello?
yeah.
Oh, Lisa's asking, do you foresee doing another 108? And Peter's asking, how did your weight hold up over 108 days? And my question is, did you get any benefit? We haven't heard anything.
Oh. Who didn't hear any benefit?
Nee, I'm asking what benefits did you experience through the Master Fast, physically, on the whole experience?
No, I thought that you said that you asked that, Gino. Someone asked that.
No, here's the first questions from Lisa. Do you foresee doing 108 days again?
I will answer them. Relax.
Oh, okay. No,
It is just
I'm totally.
I'm trying to understand what the question is coming from.
That's from Lisa?
Yeah, from Lisa. Okay, because I heard me, so I heard you, Lisa. Okay. I'm quite surprised that people didn't hear any benefits yet. I think I talked only about benefits for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Because what bigger benefit is there to get into contact with your soul's mission that you're here for on earth, and to be finally able to do that and to have the confidence to do it in the only way possible, and that is fully with your heart open, without restrictions.
Awesome.
I cannot think of any other benefit that would be greater than that. So I don't know what you have been listening to. Maybe another channel.
I'm thinking more in the physical. That's the most important.
Of course, I'm not an idiot. I understand what she's saying. So I had a lot of physical benefits. Yeah. Read my testimonial, and my skin got better. My glasses were going off. I had glasses. I don't wear them anymore since day one, and I don't look back anymore. I don't need them anymore.
Awesome.
My hair got better. My toe fungus is gone. My energy went up. I did more physical things than the whole 1.5 years before that I was depressed at home, being broke. I did all the physical things in my house and in my business that always still needed to be done since 9 years sometimes. And I had the mental clarity for it and the physical energy to do it as well. Well, I stopped working out very hard. That was in another way also to stop myself from tiring myself needlessly, because I think your energy gets stepped out of another course. But that meant, for the time being at least, not very harsh workouts, because it's just not really needed, and you are really in a holy healing period. So why would you slap yourself in the face by working out very hard? That's not very the holy soul spirit that is in fact healing you. So I lessened, and then I stopped it a bit, but I was still making walks and cycling, etc. So what did I heal more? Well, one important thing is that what came up maybe as a healing reaction is my eyes became protruding, and I became aware that it was very related to my thyroid. And I also I got understandings how that is related. Eyes, and how my mother also has that, and how it's a genetic thing, etc. And it came up very as a healing reaction, like that it became more, and now it's becoming less and less and less. So I think in that way I healed all kinds of maybe a bit more hidden, but still, in fact, very, very present on an emotional level, things that were absolutely very much there. Although I was not a person that had all kinds of dramatic cancers or dramatic medical terms posed upon me. Yeah. Because, for instance, that was more playing out for me in a sense of not being able to be truly honest with myself and with other people, not be able to really speak my truth aloud. And that was the voice, thyroid, neck chakra thing, combined with seeing yourself in a wrong way, wearing glasses, having foggy view, living in illusions. So that's how those things were related very much, and that's absolutely what I'm still healing and very much healing. To give another example, we had another very concrete question, wasn't it? What was it?
Your weight. What was your weight to going through the 108 days?
My weight. I did not weigh myself. I don't have scales. I was weighing around 65 kilograms, and I may have gone 15 kilograms down, max 20. But that's just my educated guess, and I still don't have scales. When I started, I was already a bit on the slim side for what I was last year, and what I thought I looked good at and felt good in. And of course, I went down a lot of clothes sizes, and I learned to adapt a bit and also still look good, I think, I hope. And that it was also emotionally a very big step for me, because one of the my biggest fears before I started was I didn't want to lose weight. That's why I almost didn't start, because I was afraid of the judgment of other people, and I felt good being a little bit. I just felt last year a little bit better being just a little bit chubby. You know, I was always a very slender woman and quite athletic. Well, I was a dancer, a ballet dancer also. So, not athletic, but more as a dancer, like kind of feeling. And I have to say that I hope to gain weight again. Yeah.
Awesome.
We have very concrete questions. That was the one that was very concrete that I heard. Yeah. Do you foresee doing another 108?
Yeah, 108. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know yet. Let's say if I would not have ended my 108 this time frame, then I was at a certain point I was planning to do another fairly great fast this fall. But now I finished my 108, and I'm pretty satisfied with this time frame, I have to say. I feel at this point, you never know how I feel tomorrow, you never know. Or what my spirit tells me for the day after. But for this moment, I really hope to transition in a safe and sound way to my new life, in my new incarnation, because I really left an old incarnation under the guidance of the Mahashohan, whose scent I bought. This is a representative of the Holy Spirit in human form, and he inspired me to leave my old life behind and start my new incarnation, or my true soulful bent incarnation in this life right now. And I just really hope to enter that as an eating person who knows a healthy way of breaking that with dry fasts and etc. for the next 9 months or something. And I cannot really see beyond that at this point. I don't know if I, for instance, in 1 year exactly would want to do another 108 again. Yeah, maybe I would, yeah, because the healing power is enormously, and I got enormous clarity about what my own creative identity method, because that's the creative method that I created myself as a healing modality, what kind of eating environment and guidelines that should have. I got very clear on that one while on Master System, because it gives such a clarity on a soul level. It's called Genesis Eat Plan. But there's not the Master System in it, because it's not in it and it has nothing to do with it. And I think Master System is just fantastic to push on that button in yourself that says, and now heal. And that will be not my focus in my own creativity eat plan in my method. So yeah, I might resort back to also the big 108 of Master Fast System, yeah. And I wanna just keep a bit of Master Fast System and keep a bit Master Fast System minded in my weekly or monthly schedule, you know, just what I said, and depends on if that really suits me in the practicality of life, and it really clicks in emotionally as well. And yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see, because again, I think I went over it again, but I have the tendency to do it again. Last week, I really experienced that food had to click in again with me on an emotional level, and I mean on an emotional level, emotion bound to soul intention, connection. Not emotional level like, yeah, because I want to only feel good, or emotional level like, yeah, because I only ate for an emotional reason when I felt bad all the time when I was younger, and that's so ingrained to my family pattern. No, I mean, I had to make a new click with being an eating person on a soul level. And that was something that caused a lot of stirring of deep emotions within me. And I would really have to see how that journey goes on, and then see if I'm called to do deep cleanses again. Yeah, as deep as 108, yeah, why not? Because when I started, it's just what Gino said. It's over before you know it.
What else is here? From Mima, mahalo, nui, loha. Thank you very much, Petra and Gino, for sharing. This was very informative, brilliant, blessing. And Peter and Bree, your transformation story has been very inspiring. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Love and light. So yeah, they are in the late.
That's so great, because it was very inspirational to me as well. I was very curious what we were going to talk about, and apparently this is it. Yeah. I'm very surprised. And I'm so surprised about all of you people. I mean, I said a couple of times in my last few posts that I think you are really all knights of the holistic health that are fighting for your soul to shine through until you finally let go of the fight and let peace prevail. And sometimes you really have to fight a long time before the final curtain falls, and you understand that peace was already there all along. And yeah, better have a good tool to mess with those curtains than a bad one. And the brilliance of Master Fast System is beyond words to me, because it gave me opportunity to grant my intestines what they were in fact literally asking me. And yeah, that was amazing.
Awesome. Why we like to talk about the physical stuff is that's what draws most people. There's the few that are interested in the spirituality, but once people start getting into doing the physical things, the spirit wakes up because the connection becomes clear. And that's why we like to talk about the physical benefits and so on and so forth, because 90% of the people are drawn to that.
Yeah, and that's and it is amazing, and I'm just maybe not really the person to be on the forefront of that side of things as a person. But I think also in my testimonial, I did really my best to collect as many very concrete things to say about behavior, emotion, mental, spirit, body. I mean, the body is so important. It's just that maybe my voice is a little bit of a different voice than some other people. My work is a little bit different too. And but I had my fair share. But then people think that I was never ill and I don't understand them. Well, and that's really not true at all. And the last couple of years, I was 2 years, I had a running nose all the time, 24/7. I was blowing my nose. At a certain moment, we have now talking about last 2 years, I fell down. I got so dizzy. I couldn't move anymore. I got so nauseous from being dizzy. I fell down. I had to lay on the floor, still blowing my nose on my back. I couldn't move because when I would move, I would puke right away. So I had just like, I don't know how it's called in English. Your balance organ in your ear. So I could barely manage to call my dad. There's my dad again. On the phone, lying on the floor. Can you please pick me up? So then he came to my house to pick me up. So that was great. He was going to pick me up, take him to his own house on the other side of the river. And so me just sort of being nursed there or something. That was the idea. So it was a great idea, but I couldn't get in the car. I mean, how to get in the car when you can't move? Because when you move, you feel like your whole being is falling apart and you are just going to puke from here to there and to Mexico and back. So yeah, I got in the car puking, and when we finally arrived to his house, my parents' house, I was done puking and feeling a lot better already. And lying down for hours and hours. So I was totally out of control, and my sexual energy was out of control. I had attracted wrong attention from even clients and men for years on end. Because also sexual trauma from my childhood on. My brother had sexual interest in me when I was 11 until I was 16, and we were just not really guided also in that or given a great example how to deal as preteens or as teens with those kinds of feelings. And in a way, I think that it was also a passing on of sexual trauma from other generations imposed onto us. Me as a victim, and my brother more as a protruder or as some sort of also, how do you call it? When you're onto?
Predator, I don't know.
Yeah, the voyeur. And this was also pressed onto us by multi-generational trauma, so causing my sexual energy to be completely messed up, in fact, for a couple of decades, trying to balance between doing a lot of sex or just drawing back completely to not create more problems than I already have, which is also not a really healthy thing. So, and then of course sometimes balancing out and being with the soul, because I knew my teacher, my soul teacher, for 17 years already. So there was a lot of light, but also a lot of imbalance also. So that's also another story, my sexual healing story. Yeah. And I also had, for instance, like everybody, the fungi story and the candida story. And I even had HPV, so that's the human papilloma virus. It's a virus that is a sort of a sexual virus, because you get it as a woman when you are sexually active, but it doesn't count as a sexual disease. Um, and that's a very strange medical story in itself, and why it is like that, and how you get it, and why it is so not talked about. But on the other hand, it is a lot of talked about a lot, because when you have it and it eats away on the entrance of your womb, the cells change there, and they can see it when they check you up, because they check you up here in this country every 5 years. You're called to do that, and I did that once, and indeed my womb entrance, the entrance of heaven, was being eaten away by HPV, and it was lightly, very light, and only over the course of 15 years, something like that can eventually perhaps grow into a cancer, is the official story. But it's cancer related in the medical terms anyway, and I went into a bit of that stuff, and those checkups, and they burned away a bit of cells there to make it better. And from that moment on, that was 6 years ago. From that moment on, I thought, okay, so now I tried to fast for 6 years already. Now I have HPV, and the entrance of my womb of heaven is, and I feel that it's right. There's something not really good there. Like the key doesn't fit in the door, right? The heaven gate is not opening yet. There it's HPV. There is misalignment in the cells. We have to do something. And oh, that's true. I always had vaginal candida. Yeah, and why is my sexual life still not healed, and my heart still closed for my men's soul life partner that I already feel for my entire life to be there as my soul counterpart, or my soulmate, or my twin flame? Why is he not arriving yet? And why is that key not unlocking, and the womb not blooming out into a child? And how is this all interrelated, and all that candida in my vagina all the time? And okay, let's do something about it. And that was the 6 years ago that I began to really start a more conscious search in food and health, etc., and what I just talked about, and a bit resulting in the now. Yeah, so those are maybe a few health stories. Anyone is happy with that? And then 10 years of toe fungus, and it only healed the last 2 weeks because of Gino's and other people's suggestions on what to finally do about my goddamn toenail fungus. And it helps. And it really looks like now, on the last 2 weeks of Masfasisten, or even the week after Masfasisten, that it looks like gone. Yeah.
That's it could be very stubborn, the toenail fungus, depending the strains.
This morning I talked with my father in the car, because we were going to pick up something together again, a huge carpet that I got thrown to me from the universe, to lay in my meditation chamber. And it looks great now. It's great for our fruit feast tomorrow, where I will be celebrating 108 with my friends, my clients, etc. So it's just great. But I was sitting in the car with my father this morning to pick it up. I got it for free, and it was close by, but we needed the car anyway, of course. And he has a big one. Anyway, we're just driving past the hospital where he was. I said, yeah, we're driving past the hospital. You were there, and some years ago, a lot of time, because you had non-Hodgkin lymphoma cancer. How do you look back on that? Yeah, he said, that sounds like a long time ago, 4 years, but it seems like yesterday. And on the other hand, I'm completely cured now, and he doesn't have any lymphatic cancer things on his checkups anymore, says his doctor, which he goes to 6 months every time. I hear from him this morning. So the lymph is apparently also something that is really in my family, and my father got cured a bit by it. I have to say that I secretly helped him a bit by sending him a drawing that was an Arcturian light code, and he hung it from his child all above his bed, and I'm sure it did something. That's also my work, by the way, part of my work. But I'm intrigued by that. My father healed that lymphoma, non-Hodgkin cancer, because I feel it's just more like I feel I could have had that. I feel that the dry skin brushing did so much to me, to my health. I feel that this lymph drainage, which it causes, was so incredibly good for my health and for my skin and my overall energy household. I feel that I went into the healing of what was the emotional baggage that I learned from my father, that is to be an entrepreneur, which he is. I worked with my father for the last 5 years. He helped me, and he was in the board of my foundation. Not at this point. We just only very recently, right before Master Fast System, changed that also. But I feel that I've changed also his way of doing things. So maybe I can also not get lymphoma cancer, you see? So that's how I hope to be contributing to the future of generations, or what comes after me, or whoever comes after me, to maybe not get those lymphoma cancers, and do it a little differently. But what comes, and what the soul wants to experience, it will experience. So if the soul wants to experience what those grave sicknesses are, then it will. Mm-hmm. And that's also the freedom that we have, I think, as human beings, to be able to feel into what that means. I think it did a lot to me and to my father that he was ill. And
we carry a lot on our shoulders.
Yes, but it even healed. I can't say.
Every single emotion throughout our history, from the beginning of time, from our ancestors, carried within ourselves. So there's a lot there. So we could continue and add to it, or we can choose to balance it all out.
Yeah, I wanted to say it healed our relationship.
Awesome.
Also by him being ill and me having to see that, and then now to turn things around again.
How long ago was this?
That he was ill 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah, it's 2017, right? 5 years ago. I would say 5. Yeah. And he would fell down in a supermarket and didn't know what was going on.
Wow.
Then it started to come out. So he's officially healed from that kind of medical doctors, but I don't know so much about what they're actually saying or what it exactly means. But anyway, yeah.
Beautiful. We're
Maybe
coming
we
on
should,
to
maybe we should end it.
yeah, we're coming on to 3 hours. We usually do a 2 hour call, and
I know, I know.
you know.
I already thought 5 times that you were going to break me off. No, I'm just very happy to be able to talk to you, and I'm very happy that Gino goes on, and I hope that that
It's
it brings something to you, you know, that we just could be together in this video as well. Thank you, Petra.
no, it's amazing, and thank you so much for sharing your time with everybody. And this is how we inspire each other. You know, videos are great. You know, typing words. I'm limited. You know, you're a writer. You have more into your words than I can ever do. But in videos, you can get more of a sense and feel the person a little more, I think, for most people than we can with words. Words are limiting, and we see more, especially look into somebody's eyes, because that's the window or the gate to the soul. And there's much more connection, I think, when we can do a video or if we're in person or whatever. So yeah, we'll I think we'll close it off unless somebody has a quick question.
Let's do that. Yeah, or a quick question. Yeah, when I feel into it now, I feel that I said all I wanted to say or needed to say from my perspective.
Yeah. So yeah, we have your testimonial on the board there. So it's a mini book. There's a lot of information in there.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe there will be books in the future. Yeah, yeah.
You could definitely make a book with all your posts from beginning of your journey to the end.
Yeah, book works a bit differently, but anyway. But that's what I like about you as well, Gino, because you're different in another way, and I just really learned to appreciate that as well, in a way quite practical. And I said that before. I heard that you were criticized for your use of language sometimes, but I just feel it just sounds like poetry to me, and you can be very direct in your very own unique way, and I like that. You're very practical in how you express, and as well as precise, as also as general. I don't know. I also really like that. So those are just great examples of people having a creative identity of their own. Well, that's what it is all about, if I'm concerned.
You know, it's on the board, and as I explained, you know, you can't get a real connection through words as you can, you know, talking in person for myself. So the board is there for support and to get people results, period. And that's the only thing people should be looking at it in no other way. There's no emotion attached to that except for the intent and the emotion to help people. That's it. So, you know, if people want to take it the wrong way, that's where they're at. It's okay. It doesn't bother me. I'm still helping people, and that's all that counts. And the whole board, everybody is helping each other. It's become a beautiful place for people to go and get support. And that was the vision originally, and it's manifested beautifully, and it just keeps growing. And this is our focus, to inspire each other and to allow each other to expand our awareness. It's much easier when we have so many people on the same, you know, that same intent and emotion together. It's much more powerful than doing it on your own. So we'll see where it goes. It's been an interesting couple of years and a half so far. The growth has been phenomenal, but that's not what we were looking for. We're looking for helping people, which I've seen over the last many years. People searching and searching and searching and just couldn't get any proper answers and couldn't get any proper results. They were in these plateaus, and you know, people tell them to eat more minerals and more vitamins and more raw food, and it wasn't the answer. It wasn't the answer. As we know, less is
nothing
more.
Is the answer. Yeah, less is more. Yeah, nothing is the answer.
Even in breath, less is more.
Yeah.
So we'll end it on that. And I thank you
Yes,
again
yes.
so much for your time. I know it's late for you. And
Thank you for your time.
we'll see you on the board. So you can
Yes.
inspire more people.
Yes.
So,
Bye all, and bye, Gino. Thank you so much for everything and your time and energy.
awesome. Thank you so much again. We'll see everybody on the board and next week or on Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoons on Facebook. Okay, guys.
Bye.